What do you summarize your reflection?
So yeah, I got the chance to go in two rooms, though the second room was not for a much longer period of time. But still, in the first room, I was with Omkar, and we had a pretty decent discussion. And the data scientist in Omkar was very visible, as like he was saying that as what I feel is he was trying to say what data is to a data scientist must is like should be insight to a student or a person who is trying to learn new things. So when you when you listen to something, when you listen to a story or like read something or get take participate in a discussion, you should try to visualize things. And even if you are taking notes of the key points, you should try to more visualize them. And then like you should be eager to take feedbacks and regular feedbacks. And what as a leader, what a leader should do is like give regular feedbacks. And the person who is trying to learn new things should be eager to take those regular feedbacks. Also leader should promote these self thinking. Like promoting self thinking is very important. If the person is trying to understand his in his own way, it's pretty sure he'll get good insights. And yeah, in the Shiva's room, it was more like you know the Shiva's room also, it was this promoting self thinking. I mean, asking why, like asking why is more important. And again taking notes, and these were pretty common things. So yeah, these were the
Soumitra, gentle advice. I think your reflection could be framed better. There were a lot of shoulds. I think the should could be replaced with reasoning, right? If you could have, brought it up, you were in the room. What you observed was people were discussing how you could encourage people to think on their own rather than just, follow what others are saying, and which is what people called as self-thinking. And then people spoke about the importance of asking the why question, which we don't tend to that often. So if you were to describe it without the should, you end up, reasoning. So maybe the reflection could be better if you try to explain rather than try to give it as an instruction. Samitra, then it becomes very preachy. It doesn't become insightful when this instructions given. It feels very preachy. You get what I mean by preachy, right?
yes.
Generally, when we speak, so whenever we speak, right, if we speak in a very preachy way, people are not interested. So for everybody, I think a general insight when we try to communicate something, if we can communicate the reasoning and if we can communicate the phenomenon as well. When you do this, this tends to happen for this reason. That's a phenomenon. If I'm preachy, people tend to believe, अरे ये फिर से शक्तिमान चालू हो गया है, right? He's trying to tell me do this, don't do this, and so on. So people tend to get a little turned off by that. Now, whatever I'm explaining is a phenomenon. If I do this, this happens. When you describe a phenomenon, people tend to get interested if it's non-trivial. But if it's trivial, if it's something, if you're telling something that people already know, they get bored. Yeah. Over to you, Rama Devi, for your reflection. Yeah.
Okay, let me share you my I have joined Gayatri breakout room. I have listened a wonderful page. Initially, she started about the importance of taking a quality notes. She also mentioned that we generally take only headlines. We write the headlines, and after a few days we forgot why do we wrote all these head points. And having a connecting dots or writing some phrases which will help us to connect the dots and which will help us to identify the connection between the main head points is really makes our notes a quality notes. And for that, she also advised a technique to structure your data. You can use mind maps, you can use diagrams. Diagrams can be different for different domains. But if you started using diagrams or a structured format to store the data, you can understand in a better way, and you can relate, and you can identify, connect the dots so easily. And she also mentioned that you need to use some phrases or some connections. Why? Because people always use in diagrams also, they only use head points. So you need to mention the connections also. And she also the interesting part which I observed in this page is the comparatively the questions asked in the pitch is far more interesting than the pitch. So if you want to know the interesting questions, Daksh and Gayatri is all on the line. They'll really explain you the questions. It will be really exciting.
Thank you, Ramadevi. I think I agree with you on that. I was in the same room. Yeah, over to you, Daksh.
So I noticed the similar pattern. So everybody or most people were saying that you need to think about it, reflect on it. Gayatri, for example, suggested we make notes, mind maps. But my fear is that there can be a false sense of understanding with that. We can, because our brains want to conserve energy, they can fool us into thinking that we've understood it. So I think Shiva had one more step beyond this, which was after making notes, reflecting, teaching somebody else, making analogies so that you can explain it to somebody who's not an expert in in the simplest possible way, so that you yourself know how much you yourself have understood. That's why you can express. And the third thing that I was thinking about was, after you've understood a concept and you've explained it, we can try to make some connections with other concepts to expand our it's like critical thinking and creativity somewhere in between. So we're strengthening our map of the concept.
Okay. Thank you, Daksh. But I think you can go a little easy on yourself. Everyone can go a little easy because Newton had that erroneous thinking that he got it right until Einstein comes in and says that if you're traveling at close to speeds of light, that doesn't work, right? So across science, I think we've seen multiple incidents where we've proven wrong.
I think truth is about getting closer to the ideal truth. It's like an approximation. Our concepts are an approximation of the real world phenomena, and we're always trying to get closer and closer, but there might be some errors.
Yeah, so that's why in philosophy of science, we don't call it truth, we call it provisional truth.
Okay.
So it's okay. We have our limited understanding, but I think if you're in this continuous process of trying to, evolve that understanding, I think in that process will, even if there's a misunderstanding, I think we'll end up correcting it. And this idea of teaching is fantastic. And I think Vinay in his speech was talking about rigor, right? Where he's talking about how you'll critically probe whatever your understanding. So that could again be a great way to evolve your understanding. There's this concept called rigor. Maybe in one of the future LDIs, we'll have a discussion on rigor. Rigor is basically a way to evaluate the quality of your reasoning. Rigor is like a quality check on your reasoning. See, somebody might say that women should not work because if women work, the society will get indisciplined. Does this have a reasoning? It does. But do you agree with
it? Does have a reasoning.
It does
might not be a good reasoning, but it has
exactly, right? Every Baba who's propagating superstition does have a reason. Only thing is, it's a very bad quality reason. So if you want to tackle superstitions, it's not reasoning which will help you tackle superstitions. It's actually rigor which will help you tackle superstitions, because rigor will help you evaluate the quality of reasoning. So rigor is an apparatus to investigate the quality of reasoning. If you look at great lawyers can puncture arguments because they've got great rigor. They have ways to destroy reasoning. Great philosophers, great lawyers, logicians. I did my master's thesis with a logician. So yeah, these are people who I think investigate reasoning with a greater degree of detail, which makes life a little exciting. But yeah, it was a very philosophical conversation. Thank you for that, Daksh. Thank you for the 3 points. A great first reflection, I must say. Over to you, Gayatri.
The participants really ask very interesting questions, and in the given amount of time, I was not able to actually answer them, and I will think about that. But and the Daksh asked this one question, that how the tendency of assuming I have understood everything. How can I avoid that? So maybe we can prepare a questionnaire for ourselves, and then we can try to answer it after few days, and then we can check it. If we don't have time, we can use ChatGPT for creating questions and for checking also. So I think this is one thing I wanted to share. And while explaining, I also understood that there are micro concepts, and those micro concepts are part of one whole subject. So we can try to understand the connections between micro concepts and the relation of micro concepts to the whole concept, and the other factors which are affecting the whole concept, or the yeah.
Yeah, that was really philosophical and very deep, Gayatri. I think I want to build on that shortly. But before I build on your reflection and before we all leave, I would like to invite all of you to join a celebration. If you're in a community of leaders, you see others' achievement and you see others' growth as your growth. Do we see others' growth as our growth? If we see somebody else in our team overcoming their inhibitions, do we feel very happy more than our own inhibitions? So one secret formula for growing is if we can celebrate other people's growth, because that keeps us positive all the time. Because if you celebrate your own growth, you get very few opportunities to celebrate. But you celebrate the growth of everyone around you. Every day is a celebration and your brain is always thinking of growth in a positive way, with less pressure. So are we ready?
There's a saying.
Yeah.
There's a saying: a rising tide lifts all boats.
Okay. You're in the data science team, but I think I really wanted you in the content team, I guess. Okay. Thank you, Daksh. So, are you guys all ready for a celebration? Okay, let me tell you what that is. I think just 2 days back, I was having a discussion about Gayatri with somebody in the team. I will not take the name, but with somebody I was having a discussion about Gayatri. So what I was told is maybe Gayatri is still not ready for that leadership role. She's a little scared. She's having those inhibitions and so on. But I hope all of us have no doubts whatsoever about Gayatri's preparedness for a leadership role and for an important responsibility. Because I think when I was even interviewing Gayatri, right, during her selection process, I asked her, are you sure that you can take this responsibility? Because you're, I even asked her that maybe you're having difficulty in comprehending English that quickly. Are you sure you can thrive here, survive here? But I'm sure she's not just surviving here, she's thriving here. Very philosophical perspectives that you brought out, Gayatri. And in deep thought, I think just within a month's time, we see huge transformation in people. And I'm super delighted to see your growth. I think in 1 month, you've just shown us a teaser, but I think much more to come. Do you agree with me, Paridhi, Pratibha? You guys came along with her, right? So thank you, Gayatri. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for showing us how to grow. Now I want to build a bit on why I'm saying these words. There was this very interesting question, right, in the room that I was in. I just want to build on it. So I think Devanshi was asking this question, you are telling me that, Devanshi asked Gayatri, you're telling me that people should see the purpose. How will you get people to see the purpose? Gayatri said, if you can connect the dots, you'll be able to see the purpose. Devanshi asked, by connecting the dots, how will you see the purpose? Gayatri said, by connecting the dots, you'll get the wholesome picture of what's going on. Not just that narrow thing, but the wholesome picture, and then you can see the purpose. Then Devanshi asked, you'll get the overview fine, but how will you get the purpose? I would like to point out here, maybe Gayatri is still articulating her thoughts, but Devanshi, I think there's a difference between wholesome picture and overview. Overview is not a wholesome picture. A lot of times when we get the overview, we are only scratching the surface. We're only seeing the headlines. but we're not getting the wholesome picture. I think when we connect the dots, we don't just get an overview. I think we get the wholesome picture because we're able to map what's going on. So I thought that was a great perspective. Then there was this question, I think, from Daksh, which is about how would you understand rather than remember? That's where Gayatri said, we generally tend to remember only the words. She said, what we can do is instead of remembering only the words, we can write down the words and also draw a diagram where you can write the connections between them. I think you really understand something not when you write the words or when you remember the words, not when you're a tota or a parrot who's repeating words, but when you're able to make those connections. And I think later when she came back here, she spoke about micro concepts. So Gayatri, whatever you spoke of, thank you for being an ambassador of deep thought. What you spoke of is right here. Yeah. There are micro concepts and you connect those micro concepts. That's when you get the deeper understanding. Understanding is not, I think, look, depth doesn't come from knowledge. Depth comes from wisdom, not from knowledge, but from wisdom. Not from information, but from insights. Information is free. In 21st century, information is free. Thanks to Google, you get everything. Or even ChatGPT gives you information. But what you want is insights and wisdom. But now even for that, you have competition because generative AI is even trying to give more insights than what many humans can give. So that was a very deep articulation, Gayatri. And I hope all of us got a lot of nice perspectives about insights and about wisdom. So are you all excited about this Saturday Socratic dialogue? I hope this Saturday we can have a very deep understanding of React. Although you may not be a web developer, I think by learning React in a new way, we all can learn how to learn differently. Again, I will conclude with the question which I asked a while back. If given an opportunity, would you want to gain 10 years experience in 10 months? That's why you're in deep thought, aren't you? To get that career acceleration. So then I think it's key that we learn how to learn. And I think one important aspect there is to pick these insights. So again, as always, by tomorrow, please send your gratitude. Please send your gratitude in the group, but you can blend your gratitude with your insights. Like for me, I'm very grateful that I went into that room because I was able to understand how connecting the dots is linked to purpose. I saw them as two very different ideas. I'm grateful that I'm now starting to think about the connection between connecting the dots and purpose. I'm grateful that I'm able to distinguish between knowledge and wisdom at a deeper level now because I'm able to see how drawing the connectors and the linking narratives between the keywords can play a role in getting the wisdom. I'm grateful that I'm able to, sign off my day thinking about some very deep and meaningful questions, right? This is how I would probably write my gratitude. You get the point? It's not just saying, I'm grateful that I tried hard. I'm grateful that I, waited 15 minutes to go for my dinner and all of that. That's fine. I think you can go deeper in terms of writing what insights you got, right? On that note, sorry for keeping you 17 minutes late for your dinner. Good night, everyone.